Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunrise Daily today. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Well, I know Chamberlain already said his own Happy New Year, but yes, welcome to 2026 if you're just like me, going to work for the very first time or just stepping out of your house in 2026. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Maupe Ogunyusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Good morning. Just so you know, today is the 5th day in the month of January 2025. And I am almost certain, Mark, that people will already start counting down to the end of the month, right?
Did he say 2025? Ayo, it's 2026. Last we checked. Welcome to the new year.
2026.
Just take us
yes.
back, please.
What's going on?
Yeah. Well, it's 2026, actually. Yeah, so that's just the point. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, these things really do take getting used to. So people are going to be counting down almost immediately from now to the end of the month. People have said that January is the longest month of the year, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, perhaps it depends on what you do, how it plays out for you wherever you are. For some, it might just be as fast as before you say Jack Robinson. But speaking about getting used to, unfortunately, we do know that there was this attack in Niger state, but not that anybody should get used to that kind of attack. Well, yes, the president did issue a statement via his spokesperson asking that, directing the relevant authorities, the IGP, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, all those top security agencies to ensure that they go after those who perpetrated the crime and ensure that all of those things, you know, it doesn't become something that we get used to. So, yes, the message is there. But in terms of getting used to, the other aspects of this, of course, we'll talk about this in terms of the details, what happened and the circumstances surrounding the update of this matter. But this next item, I don't know if Mr. Bayo Noliga is still getting used to some of these AI tools. Look, it can put you in trouble. I tell you, if you don't apply them properly, especially if you happen to be in public office. He tweeted a picture of the president, President Tinubu, and President Paul Kagame, and at the bottom of that, bottom right-hand corner, you could see that it's clearly a Grok-generated image. Of course, you see the signature there at the bottom right-hand corner. So the thing about all of this, for purposes of full disclosure, you should have put that in context. Well, two things. Yes, the meeting may have happened. Now we can't even, no visual representation that actually happened, because this, if it's a Grok-generated image, it means that image is not actually true. So editorially, you can't go ahead and use that authoritatively as though that was exactly how it came through, because it is AI generated. Unfortunately, we see that on the front pages of a lot of newspapers. Maybe they must have glossed over that. But it invalidates that particular picture. Not that the meeting didn't happen, or not that it invalidates the meeting, but it raises a lot of questions as to credibility, because there wasn't any full disclosure that this is how this image came about, other than the AI signature, which we see there. Now, there are dangers with this kind of scenario, because we do know it's going to be a campaign year, and then there'll be several things that will happen where people talk about fake news. I can imagine if maybe somebody in another political party posted an image which is Grok or AI generated for a particular scenario, the presidential spokesperson and the other parties will pick up on that, I reckon, and they might raise issues as to validity or otherwise of those kind of images. So if you in that position have to use this and you don't have full disclosure, that's why there will be questions as to, did that meeting actually then happen?
And I think that it's pretty clear what Nigerians are asking, because, I mean, especially when you're using a platform like Twitter, where a lot of young people are AI savvy and they know what to look for and they know what they're seeing. But for many traditional media houses, that's one of the areas that they'll have to invest in to be sure that whatever it is, because normally when you get anything from the State House, it is taken for granted that you do not have to think twice or, you know, look again before you use those kinds of things. But clearly with this, the controversy that has now been generated by these pictures, you know, one certainly will have to take a second look at this thing. So I think that the president's media team, led by Mr. Bayo Onanuga, would need to provide clarity as to why it was that an AI-generated photo, you know, was used to depict the meeting, the alleged meeting, because now it's not an alleged meeting. It's an alleged meeting. When you look at how that matter is being reported, people are now saying the president purported meeting with the president of Rwanda. So those are the kinds of comments that would now be generated, because it cannot just be taken for granted when you now see that this photo has a signature of Grok, and Grok is the AI tool of the platform X, formerly known as Twitter. So when you see that sort of signature at the bottom of the photo, it definitely then raises questions as to whether or not this meeting happened. I was teasing Chamberlain earlier, and I said, well, Chamberlain, it's possible that the meeting happened and they forgot to take a picture. So maybe they just, you know, brought up something to depict the meeting. After all, we used to do caricatures in those days, or cartoon photographs.
That's understandable.
If that was the idea behind this, then there needs to be clarity. There needs to be, and this is
full disclosure.
This is not us giving you spin lines. This is not us. This is not us. But this is us just thinking of possibilities, things that could have happened. Because we also understand that the president of Rwanda was tagged in the photo. You know, will he be tagged in something that didn't happen?
That's
even though it is not. They said there are no pictures of or any encounter of that on his own Twitter platform. So these are the kinds of things that are raising doubts in the minds of Nigerians, and I think it's very important that the presidency clarifies and clears the air as to why it is we have an AI-generated photo depicting a meeting that allegedly took place between presidents of Nigeria and that of Rwanda. Ayo.
One thing that this teaches is perhaps to also help the media team know that we know, I mean, AI tools can be used to enhance an image. And if that is the intention, in the words of, going by the words of Chamberlain, full disclosure, let us know, okay, the meeting held, the picture is not good enough, but we've used this one to enhance it. That's one thing. Secondly, whether or not the meeting happened, it's something that we need to also be sure of, because, first of all, I've tried to check, thankfully, using the same AI tool, we've asked the question whether or not the Rwandan media reported that story. And there are samples to indicate whether or not it did happen. But there is no official communication from the government of Rwanda about it. Maybe the coming days will say, but it is important. Because trust quotient is low and people know where what is coming from, it is important that the presidency would give us clarity so the presidency can be believable going forward. That's my 2 cents, Chamberlain.
Yeah, because, I mean, tomorrow if you tweet another image, they will ask questions. How do we know this actually happened? How do we know this is the real image? I mean, we'll expect that he will not gloss, or the media team will not gloss over this and actually tell the people, okay, this is why that happened, or yes, I should have disclosed. So that kind of scenario, because it's very important at the time that we're in, because if that were the case, you don't want to be misled. And this would be embarrassing to the country if Rwanda actually says, well, this was not exactly the picture, this didn't happen exactly like this. So that kind of scenario, you want to avoid all those kind of things, because it could impede communication and messaging, especially in that office. It is a very sensitive tool. So communication is broad-based now. Maybe in your classes, you might use this as a case in point in those classes of yours when you tell them. All right, so we will be back and then focus on we might as well just go on with it, guys, can we? The unfortunate attack in Niger State, where we did bring you earlier on the messaging from the president, the directive that's given. But we've got 2 gentlemen joining us to talk us through this, if they understand it fully. We've got Mr. Wilson Inaligu, who is a former AIG of police. He was also he served as a DPO in Niger State for several years on his rise as he moved on to become an AIG. And then we also do have former brigade commander in Operation Lafayette Dole in the northeast. So I think we'll have two of them. But Mr. Naligo, good morning and thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thanks for having me. It's a long, long time. Welcome back and Happy New Year.
Thank you and Happy New Year to you as well. Good to see you. But let me just check with, I think we've got retired Colonel Yaya Lakali, who is he's the one I was referring to as a resident and former brigade commander in Operation Lafayette. Let's see if he's there with us. Can you hear us, sir?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Somebody. Good morning.
Okay.
And Happy New Year. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Good morning to you as well. Mr. Naligo, let me start with you. I know for several people, they will just wonder, yet again, another attack? Why does this keep happening seemingly unabated? Why does it appear as though the police can't just, or the security agencies can't handle this? You've been in this terrain before. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, I think, just like you have expressed, I'm also a little bit, I'm surprised because when the Aguara local government incident happened, that is the St. Mary's Catholic School, Borgu local government and Aguara, they are contiguous to each other. And from the command headquarters, from the state headquarters to Borgu or to Kainji, it's over 2 hours drive. And so, and most of these challenges are coming from the Kainji National Park. And I think over the years, I mean the past few years, there have been reports of infiltration in the park of terrorists or bandits. That means there is a kind of early warning. And again, we had a major incident, I think in November 25th, when these children were kidnapped from Papari. And ordinarily, because it is not possible for the command headquarters to give a robust response because of the distance. Therefore, what perhaps, since there have been the kind of early warning, even though those children were released, of course there was no arrest. That means these guys are still looking around the corner. So what I thought would have been done is to kind of have a robust presence in that area. That is Borogu and Aguara local government. Because there are two major towns where this happens, Gede and Guru. These are areas of activity. And it is not possible for the state to send any response. I mean 2 hours, the harm would have been done. So I think going forward, what I think they need to do is to look at this. This is an active operational area. This is an area we should maintain robust presence. This is an area we should even use air assets because the Nigerian Air Force has a robust presence in Kainji. I think it's one of their training areas. And so, once this thing happens, what are you able to do? When you start seeing the smoke of motorbike and the sound, the zooming sound of motorbike, what can you do? You are not going to be able to respond unless you have a large presence in the general area. So that, and I have also expected, and I think that should have been done, that even though since these children have been released, they should have a kind of pursued to ensure that they are not able to regroup to cause more hanging. And if it is true that over 30 were killed, it's most unfortunate. And I think I believe should be done, in my opinion, in view of the distance, in view of the fact that Borgu is the largest local government area in Nigeria in terms of land area. It's over 11,500 square kilometers. So it's a big, big place, and Agbara is equally big. So I think there's a lot going on, and the police has a lot on their hands, but it's all about trying to coordinate with the other forces, the Air Force, the DSS, the Civil Defense.
And speaking about that coordination, I mean, yes, we understand Niger State is large. That's about, I think, 8.6% of the country's landmass. So if you don't manage that properly, you will have a challenge. And perhaps these guys know it, and that's why they seem to be taking advantage of that. But the figures, of casualties. There seem to be some conflicting casualty figures that we're receiving. Official number will say, well, about 30 or thereabout. But Colonel Lakali, you did get an update on the matter. If I remember properly, we thought we heard you saying you counted about 55 bodies. Is that right?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chamberlain. I am a native of that place, and 97% of those killed are actually related to me in one way or the other. The fact is that concerning Agwara and Borgu local government area, which constitute Borgu Emirate Towns, that place is a very flash point in terms of activities of bandits and terrorists. But unfortunately, that is an area that is left with little or no security presence at all over the years. So several narratives have been coming up, and people bringing a lot of information, but I can tell you for free that as at 10 o'clock yesterday morning, we counted 55 dead bodies. I personally told them not to bury them until they are counted, until we take records, we take videos, pictures and the rest of them. And we have all the evidence available to us. I'm not sure, as I'm talking to you now, I'm going back there this morning. I don't know whether after I left yesterday afternoon, whether they have discovered some other dead bodies. But before I left yesterday, we counted 55 dead bodies. And let me tell you, Mr. Chamberlain, the Papri village where the kidnapping of school children took place, and Kasuwandaji is just a stone throw. It's just a journey of about 20 minutes drive. But Kasuwandaji happens to be in Borgu local government. And I can tell you that from Kasuwandaji to ING to New Busa, where you have the divisional headquarters of the police, Nigerian police, and the area command, it will take you, because of the bad roads, it will take you nothing less than 3 hours before you get there. But from Agwara, you can get to that place within 30 minutes or 40 minutes. Ever since the incident in Papri took place, we have no had security presence in that place. Not even police. I had the Commissioner of Police, Niger at that time, Commissioner of Police, Abdullah Elema, saying he has several teams there, tactical teams. It's all lies. Let's be very frank. Human beings are dying and we are telling lies. We are telling lies with human blood. No. I need to tell the authorities from the federal to state level, there's no security present. On the day this incident was happening around 3, 4 o'clock, while the bandits were still carrying out their dastardly act, I called the commanding officer, 221. Of course, I know his predicament. He's helpless. He doesn't have the men. He doesn't have the equipment. He told me he was going to talk to the Air Force. Up to yesterday, when I left there was no presence of any security personnel. As I'm talking to you, I don't know where they came in the evening after I left. I'm going back there. I'm going to confirm. I was able to get the Honorable Minister of Defense, Dr. Musa. I spoke to him. I communicated him on WhatsApp, and I told him what is happening. He has promised to send security there. I'm going back there to confirm. I can tell you for free that place, and these bandits, I've been having some narratives that they are bandits that are fleeing from from Sokoto or whatever as a result of airstrike by the US. It's a lie. These bandits have been occupying Kanji Lake National Park for over 5 years now.
Wow.
For over 5 years. They have been there. They are based in that country. They've taken over the Kanji Lake National Park. And these particular bandits, they left the forest more than 1 week ago. They went around and went up to, because we have boundary with Kebbi State. There's a village in Kebbi State under Shanga local government called Gebe. They went there, killed some people, and we keep telling the authorities. These guys have been patrolling that general area for over 1 week. On challenge, no response from any security force. As for Aguara, as far as I'm concerned, the police is virtually absent, completely absent, because we don't see them.
Colonel, I think it's in order for us to, send our condolences to you, because you are from that community, and you witnessed firsthand the aftermath of the terrorist attack in that community. So our deepest condolences to you, because it must have been heart-rending for you to go to the market shortly after that attack and see people dying or even dead in their numbers. You said you counted over 55 bodies. I can only imagine the trauma. I mean, but this is you who is a trained soldier and who has been on the war front, having served with Lafia Dole in the northeast. But just to see that number of people die in your community, I can only imagine just how much that must have really hurt for you. But do you think that, given all that you have said now, the fact that the roads are bad, ideally it should not take up to 20 minutes for the nearest security point to be able to respond to such a crisis, and the fact that you made a call to, I think the closest is a brigade commander to that particular place, and you said that you know that he was also quite helpless, as he would not have the required amount of men and the equipment. Do you think that this attack could have been forestalled in any way? Could we have prevented up to 55 people dying in a reckless attack by these terrorists?
Thank you, Mike. This attack was completely preventable. If the authorities have done, there was early warning. When these people started moving more than a week ago, patrolling that area, going to smoke, I can tell you for free, they went to around that Gebe village. They entered one man's house, brought out his children. He has girls and boys. They left the girls. They brought out 5 of his boys, 5 of his sons, and slaughtered them in his presence. This happened before the New Year. And nobody, that's our general area, there seems to be completely absence of, government. It's like it's almost like an ungoverned space. If there was responses while these people were patrolling, and we even know some of the informants. As I'm talking to you, I have listed some of them, we know some of them, and I've told the Honorable Minister of Defense, if they come, we will need them to arrest some of the well-known informants in that general area. They don't even hide it. This attack was completely preventable. If the needful was done, nobody, out of these over 55 people, none of them would have lost his or her life. And let me tell you, my friend, apart from the people they killed, they carried children, women, in over 100 of them. They left with them. They are currently with them. And this children included some of those rescued from Papri.
Well, Mr. Nalego, let me come to you, because I'm sure you've heard, I do not know if you were able to hear Colonel Lakale, talking about that particular tragedy. It happened in his community. And you spoke about the fact that we have seen movement within Niger State. The children who were taken in Kontagora local government area were only recently returned. And as you rightly highlighted, no arrests were made. Those children were just returned. So it has raised questions as to under what terms and conditions were they returned. Did we pay ransom? Did we empower these terrorists further, etc., etc.? And you've just heard the colonel say that these people have been lurking around, that no one should come and tell us about how it's because of the strikes in Sokoto, they're finding their way down to Niger State, that these people have been on the ground. And one would have thought that in that sort of situation, even if, you know, for any reason we had to negotiate whether or not ransom was paid, you know, negotiate with terrorists, be able to get lives that were with them back, one would think that we will keep a constant eye on them to know their movements. What exactly do you think is responsible for this sort of attack, and what has now generated this renewed onslaught? Because it seems that we're now beginning to see more and more frequent attacks on communities, especially in far-flung areas. What do you think could be responsible for it?
Well, I know that the attack by America might have ignited, but I think it's much more than that, because within the Kainji National Park, there have been intel and a lot of information that these guys have infiltrated that place. But the question is, should they be there? And I think what is going on in parts of Kwara, I believe, emanate from that area. So I thought what could have happened, I don't know. But after the release of those girls, and if there were no more captives with these terrorists, and this, as they're called, is to move into this location after active intelligence gathering to be able to dislodge them, because they are not supposed to be there, and most of them must have infiltrated to our porous borders. And so we have a long stretch of borders in those locations up to Sokoto and other places, more than 1,500 kilometers stretch. So what I think should have been done, immediately those children were released, and I think there should be security operation. All the instructions that have been given dominate the area and all that. But I think the security agencies, especially since we have a good air asset in that location, the police air asset, working with the Air Force, perhaps should have carried out more surveillance of the area. And once they see movement, perhaps they would have intercepted them. Because in these far-flung areas, what the security agency should rely on is about early warning and response. And how do the security agencies instill confidence in the public that they hear of something happening, they hear of movement, and they are alerted, and the security agency is moving. And I think it's not an area that, even though the roads are bad, as stated by Colonel, I wasn't hearing it too well. It's when you come on that I quite hear you. But I saw the child remains of human, and it's very sickening. It's very deplorable that this has happened in our country. And I think what needs to be done immediately is about who has the responsibility. Of course, the Nigerian police have been primacy, but the Air Force is there, the Army is there, the Civil Defense is there, the DSS is there. And I think,
Mr. Nolegu, I'm not sure. Permit me to my sincere apologies for voting in, Mr. Nolegu. The question that Maokwe asked has actually been on my mind as well. The fact that there were no arrests made leads people to conclude that there were certain compromises made. Now, one of the things that Colonel Lakale retired said is that they know the informants and that they are in their localities right there. Consequently, it is expected that the DSS officials in that area should know these people and should have signaled them for pickup. Just as you said, I mean, if we had this information ahead, something should have been done about it. So, on the one hand, arrests were not made. On the other hand, according to Colonel Lakale, this could have been avoided. So, is it possible for people, because it happened in the same states, is it possible for people to assume that the authorities actually knew who these people were, but they just didn't arrest them, and consequently are asking for more of these things to happen? Now that even the president has said that they should fish out the perpetrators, the question arises whether or not anything is going to be done and whether anything is going to come out of it.
A lot is going to come out of it. I think the secretary needs to be more robust in the engagement on the media strategy to be able to communicate with the public. I think perhaps arrests might have been made, because you are not going to just get people out. Because within the communities, they know the informants. You are not going to keep over 300 people without feeding them. You can't give them only water. And for what they have done, they came into the city, burned the market, killed a lot of people, and stole a lot of foodstuff. So it is possible for the DSS, not only the DSS, even the public, members of the public who are competent should be able to. But the rest is our cover is not going to be blown. And then that is cover is not going to be blown. I don't believe that arrests have not been made, but I think they may have not been made public. But I think the security agencies, to reassure the public, they need to communicate what they are revealing operational secrets. But at least this happened, we moved in, we secured this release, this number were arrested. You are right. It's about the strategy that they adopt in handling this issue. But we should regard this Agwara local government, Borogu, Kayama, and parts of Kwara, where all this is happening, that the security need to move in with the greatest force available, with all the resources, both land, air,
it still begs the question, because my apologies again, Mr. Inalibu, it still begs the question whether or not, you know, anything significant was done to deter further occurrences. Let me quickly come to you, Colonel Lakali, because we really have to go. Well, so Colonel, I hope you heard a bit of what Mr. Inalibu has spoken about this morning on this particular issue. And if you did, how do you respond? Do you think arrests were made? Do you think the authorities are aware that there are informants in the community which could have prevented this occurrence? And if so, why do you think nothing was done?
Thank you, Mr. Chamberlain. I think colleague here, I know he's talking from the best knowledge what he knows. But this from the community, to the best of my knowledge, no arrests have been made. Area absent. It's time to be corrected. It's a major new one. What I do is say, I'm ready to end it. The community, if you want to operate in that area, you have to work with the community, because the community knows people. If you want to get real information, it has to be from the community. They stay with the people. They know. They are staying in the house, so they know where it is leaking. And I'm talking to you. You see, our people are wondering. The Constitution, particularly Section 14, Section 2D, says the primary purpose of government is to ensure the security and welfare of it.
All right, Colonel, you know, what we'll do...
people are not saying that. As far as we are concerned, let me tell you, Mr. Chamberlain, there has been no arrest.
Okay, we actually did reach out, Colonel, we actually did reach out to the police, the commissioner of police there, all of them, the public relations, to come give us a word, tell Nigerians what's going on, but they declined, as we see. They're not on the program today.
They're saying me now. I've been hearing whatever the superintendent of police. Each time they speak, they say in Mina. When the kidnapping happened in Papri, was the commissioner of police there?
Okay. We'll try and get back to them and see if they will respond.
The commissioner of police, the governor of Niger State, His Excellency Bago, is in Saudi Arabia, Leicester Heights. But the very day the thing happened, the chairman of Borgu local government called him. And I'm sure that he must have spoken to the police commissioner, the DSS. By the following day, yesterday, we are supposed to have access. The commissioner of police was supposed to release a team to go there and take out on the spot assessment. But that was not done.
All right.
That was not done.
So we'll hope that they will respond to what you've said, because you say you are there, there's no police presence. You said all what they put out there is not factual, it's not true, it's not correct, but we'll see how they respond to some of these things that actually assure the people that something is being done, because the president has issued a directive which is expected to be carried out. But we have to thank you, gentlemen, for talking to us this morning. retired Colonel Yaya Lakale, former brigade commander in Operation Lafayette Dole in the northeast, as well as former AIG of police, Mr. Wilson Elanigu, who also served as a DPO in Niger State. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time this morning. All right, so we will be back in just a moment. Stay on with us. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. As you've seen there, we've got Mr. Philip Shoaibu here with us. Well, I know many remember him as a former deputy governor in Edo State, but remember now that he is the Director General of the National Institute for Sports. Good morning, and thank you for coming on today. Good morning. Happy New Year to you as well.
Same to you. Happy New Year to you.
Indeed, Happy New Year to you.
It's good to see you guys.
Time flies.
Radiant as usual.
Well, looking sporty. Well, good to go,
yeah,
as they say. Well, let's really just take this. I mean, earlier this morning, we spoke about the image that Mr. Bayo Nonuga, the president's spokesperson, tweeted about the meeting between the president, Paul Kagame, and President Bola Tinubu. And we've got a response now from Mr. Temitope Ajayi, who is the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity. He says, quote, "The narrative that the picture of Presidents Bola Tinubu and Paul Kagame taken in Paris yesterday was AI generated is not correct. The media report and social media comments that followed are misrepresentation of facts. The picture is real and not AI generated as claimed. Both President Kagame and President Tinubu met in Paris, had lunch together on Sunday. They, two leaders, later had dinner with President Macron same yesterday evening. The picture was taken with a phone and obviously had poor quality. The photographer only later used Grok to improve the picture quality. This is not a reason to conclude it was AI generated. The writer or editor should have asked questions before this wrong conclusion." Well, a few things here. I mean, okay. Earlier we did say it doesn't mean that the meeting didn't hold. It doesn't invalidate the meeting holding. But for full disclosure, that wasn't done. So this perhaps will be that full disclosure. But if Mr. Jai says it was not, but you use that tool to generate it, and that's why you see the Grok will tell you, look, yes, I leave my watermark on images that, whether you use it to enhance or create, maybe that's where the challenge is. But if they have put up this message earlier, we would have avoided all of this back and forth. But I hope lessons learned in this instance.
Indeed, I sincerely hope that, you know, going forward, if AI is used to enhance any
there will be that
or video or anything, that there will be an addition, you know, additional statement or an additional paragraph stating that an AI tool has been used to enhance or, you know, create, or as the case might be, in that particular instance, generally.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Shoaibu, again, good morning. So, what's going on? What do we expect from your commission, your institute, this 2026?
Yeah, thank you very much. Before I go, my heart goes to the people of Niger for the incident that took place. Pray that this year will be better, and we don't expect to see things like this again this year. So my heart goes to them and to the family. Well, the institute has started, and it started very well. We are just 5 months old when I took over. And we have a plan, a 10-year working plan that we've started. I met a very, very lean budget. Wow. So very, very lean budget. And that gives me even more reason to think out of the box. And fortunately, with that lean budget, we've been able to kickstart our programs. We've been able to bring Abuja back to life. Abuja is back to life with no resources. We brought the Abuja office back. And we had our first program, coaching program, 3-month coaching program after 30 years in Abuja. And we graduated those students December 18. And the office is also back live, well renovated and without budget, well renovated. And it can compete with any office in Nigeria when it comes to standard. Yeah. What we simply did is to create a private public partnership. But interestingly, it's supposed to be the other way. Government providing facility, private sector running. But I couldn't wait because the state I met NIS was a state that is the reflection of how our sport is being seen. Why every tournament we play, our heart is in our hands because we have not been able to deal with NIS. NIS is the critical sector that produce these players, produce this coach, produce the referee, is the training institute for the sport ecosystem. So when that system is not functioning, don't expect anything better in Nigerian sports because the engine room of sport is not functioning. And because it's not functioning, don't expect anything. So in NIS, I came and I had to clean up the curriculum. We have a 10 years working plan, 10 years working plan, just the way we did in Edo State. We came in, clear up the system, have a plan, because I met NIS that is 51 years old without a plan.
Wow.
So we have to create a plan, a roadmap, and first year, second year, like that. Funding is a major problem, so we have to get private sector involved. Fortunately for us, everybody is tired with praying and fasting for our sports for us to win tournaments. So a lot of private sector are interested in helping to make NIS work so that our wallet is praying without fasting to go to tournament. Just how it's supposed to be.
We shouldn't fast. You know, it's such a sad thing. I mean, I must confess that I hadn't.
It's really bad.
I haven't heard of the NIS before now. I mean, I've heard of the National Sports Commission and you know a number of other, well, I say, bodies associated with sports, but that's just how backwater the NIS has been, and the fact that it's been in existence, as you highlighted, for 51 years. And this is where we currently are, where a lot of Nigerians don't even know that such an institution exists.
With solid infrastructure.
So clearly, you have your work cut out for you in terms of what needs to be done to revive our sports industry. And it's such a shame that also the sports world, I think at this time, is still mourning somewhat some of the tragedies that occurred in 2025. Just yesterday, Anthony Joshua's friends were buried in a mosque, and I also know how interested you've been in boxing. Yes, you know, we still have a montage of you still throwing punches, you know, in one of our sports promo videos that rolls on our station. So it's been quite an interesting season for our sports, and clearly, you know, a lot will need to be done in this regard. So I'm just a little curious. You have already stated the challenge that the funding is lean, but there is the question of confidence, because every time we speak of funding, people just always are skeptical, especially when it comes to sports and funding. We saw what happened last year with the funding for the NFF, the Nigerian Football Federation, and the controversy that was generated when FIFA came out with what it was that it had spent on funding football in Africa and what Nigeria was supposed to have received, and you know, the kinds of questions that were raised. So how do you intend to be transparent and accountable to the private sector and to Nigerians in general, for those who will be interested in saying, this is one way we can actually get our young people engaged, this is one way we can continue to promote ourselves, you know, globally as a nation, and this is one easy way to get a lot of youths off the streets. How do you intend to promote accountability for those who intend to, you know, put their money where their mouth is?
Yeah, funding, I will answer that question, but let me also let us know. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, under his administration, funding of sports has been the highest. The last budget is the highest budget sports sector I've ever gotten. Serious money. But NIS was not captured in that funding. And it has been like that for a decade. I remember I called that all the former Minister of Sports should be, National Assembly should call them to come and account for their role in destroying NIS. It was deliberate. It was deliberate because the budgeting system encourages consumption. It does not encourage infrastructural development or infrastructural maintenance. If you come to the National Senate, and I'll ask you to come, I have become a police in the sports sector, and I'll volunteer to be the police to make the sports sector work. Because for me, it's love for sport and passion for sport and giving back to sport. That's what, in Edo State, we did it. So in terms of budgeting, the budget system has to change from consumption to infrastructural development. Because true to it, in our simple economics, they say government have no business in business, but have business in providing enabling environment. But in sport, government have no business in daily running of sport, but they have business in developing the infrastructure, building infrastructure. The infrastructure is what the private sector will leverage on to now deal with sport.
While you're here to answer my question on accountability, I want to quickly ask this. Is the NIS a part of the Nigerian Sports Commission?
No.
You're an independent body?
Yes, when the Ministry of Sports was in existence,
yes,
the Commission, NIS, and NFF were parastatal under the Ministry of Sports.
I see.
So now, the president, we clamor. I was one of those agitators that agitated that we should have the ministry out and we should have the commission. Now, the president answered that agitation. Now we have commission, we have NIS, we have NFF. They are the three agencies in sport as we speak, under the presidency. So, but the transition from ministry to commission has not been there. The system that's still operating is still a ministry system. But unfortunately, NIS is on its own, has its own budget, it defends its own budget. Approval ends with the CEO, which is Shiaibu. Commission has its budget, approval ends with the chairman. NFF has its budget, it defends its budget, the approval ends with the president of NFF. So we have our budget, but this is the first time the president is directly appointing the chairman of commission, directly appointing the CEO and DG of NIS. This is the first time.
But for the NFF, it's still an election.
This is the first time. What has been on since, and why I call for those former ministers to be called, because it was deliberate, what they did, is that they appoint their cronies to be the DG of NIS. And these are cronies, from what I've found out from the pastor. I had to investigate to know why the system went this way. And when I speak with facts. And they tell me some of them will come to Abuja to see the minister for one or two issues. They'll spend 1 week without seeing the minister. Their budget is being teleguided on how it should be done. Whereas it was deliberate. You know why it's deliberate? The infrastructure that is supposed to train our athletes, infrastructure that is supposed to train our coaches, are not being managed well. They prefer to have us camp our athletes a month to competition outside the country where they earn forex, so thereby destroying our infrastructure and not letting them work. So we have a situation where we do fire brigade approach. 1 month to the tournament, we'll start looking for one African country, one other area that we are camping our team, as against what it used to be. Those days, 1980, the Okalas and the rest, they were camped in National Stadium, NIS facility. They were not camped in Djibouti or camped in Egypt the way they did before they moved to Morocco. They were camped in Lagos. Our athletes, even youth games now, youth international games, we move them to neighboring country to train them. Whereas we have the facility in Nigeria. That is the role of NIS. So that role has been taken out for a long time.
So coming back to the question I asked you earlier about accountability, for those who are now interested in helping to revive this, well, you say government is the one that should be doing the infrastructure, but clearly you will certainly need help in that regard. Of course. So for those who will be interested, how do you intend to ensure accountability and transparency?
For me, I'm bringing my own integrity to play, which was tested in Edo State. When we came to Edo State, it was similar situation I found in Edo State. But we were able to rebuild infrastructure. We built those infrastructure, and we brought private sector to help drive it. You remember that we brought in private sector to be part of our board and to be part of the programs that I was doing. I was the chairman of the sport festival, and make sure I incorporated private sector to be part of my committee, so that they will see, they may not have voting right, but they are in the system, seeing how their investment is being run. That one gives them confidence. You remember, we are the first, I am the first chairman of a local organizing committee. After the sports festival, money that was left, 550-something million, was returned back to government. And we did our internal and external auditing, which was submitted to their minister, Sunday Dare, is the first of its kind. Because for us, we needed that partnership for the private sector to be able to buy into it. Because sports really can help to deal with this insecurity that we have. Because when you engage these young ones in the morning, you engage them in the afternoon, they'll be too tired to be idle for anybody to use. So for us, private sector need an enabling environment for them to strive. They need a peaceful environment. So hence, we are partnering to make sure the environment is peaceful by engaging these young ones. So in terms of accountability, I don't see any issue with it, because we are going to involve them in every daily activities of our programs. And for instance, the 10 years working programs that we worked out, before it becomes a program that we have to implement, I subjected it to stakeholders vetting. And you recall, the chairman of NNPC board was the chairman of that committee that I set up. And the report that they brought out from the report, which is a 10-year working plan, is what we're implementing now. And one of the major issues that they raised was that we must make sure private sector buy-in and participation. That is the fastest way we could grow sport. And we've started with NNPC and a partnership program with NNPC, because NNPC also, we are meeting on an handshake. They are also diversifying from oil to people-oriented program and trying to give back to the society, not to just have beyond corporate social responsibility. So they are changing the narrative from oil to people-oriented programs. We are changing the narrative from a completely not functioning NIS that is supposed to be the engine room of sport, to now bringing it back to developing sport. Sports, not just sport, sport medicine is critical. And sport medicine beyond sporting activities. For instance, paramedics, you'll be shocked that NIS, one of his mandate is to train paramedics. The facilities in Lagos, but it was run down. So and paramedics, in the entire world, there are shortage of paramedics. So some of these are young ones that want to even travel out of the country. Paramedics, the whole world is looking for paramedics, and we have a facility that can train these young men to be self-sustaining. So for us in NIS, I'm happy that the president deemed it fit to get me there. Initially, it was like from deputy governor to DG of a sports institute. But when I got there, I saw the reason why I was put there. And I'm so excited, because we are going to change the narrative. I am going to make sure that the sports system actually live up to its name. And those that are in the system must wake up. And if they don't wake up, you know, I will shout and I'll get them to. So I am assuring the private sector, the way we did in Edo, we will do it here in Nigeria. Because, for instance, Bender Insurance Edo Queen became the apple of everybody's eye. The sport festival that we organized has been the best sports festival ever organized by a sub-national. Because on the day of the tournament, medal table were already out, not a day after. And for the first time, we were able to bring all our programs, sound and sound, the audited accounts, all presented to the sports ministry.
What we will do, I mean, it's a good thing that, you know, you have narratives and stories that will encourage a lot of people, but we will focus on this a lot this year to, you know, just keep up with the program and ensure that at least people feed into this and key into this. So what we will do is we'll have to get you back on the program and be sure that we keep tabs on that.
We're totally out of time here. We wish we could take more.
But we will have to go. I love the stories. So it was difficult for me to stop. So I love stories that work really because I'm into organizing sports myself. But we thank you for coming on this morning. Mr. Philip Shaibu is the Director General of National Institute of Sports. We wish you all the best, and we will always be there to do what we can to make sure this story is work. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Well, that is the show today. Thank you for watching. I'm Chamberlain Yusuf. Goodbye.
I'm Maope Ogun Yusuf. Thank you.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. Business Morning is up next.